Baca is a partner in the Cerritos office of Atkinson, Andelson, Loya, Rude, and Romo. He represents California public and private sector employers in labor relations and collective bargaining negotiations, and represents the ABC Unified School District in general education law matters. He focuses on employment discrimination, personnel labor, and special education litigation. Mr. Baca joined Atkinson, Andelson, Loya, Rude, and Romo in 1986 and became a partner in 1990. He has a BA from Whittier College and his JD from the University of California at Los Angeles. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome James Baca.
That's the lawyer theme song?
Yeah, it is.
I guess.
It's a good one, huh?
Joy to the world, we need something.
Yeah, so it's something right about now.
We don't have that great a reputation out there.
You know, and it was funny, maybe even before we get started. So how many lawyer jokes do you know?
Oh, way too many, but
Yeah.
the state bar sent us a flyer indicating try not to tell too many lawyer jokes because we're trying to change the image of the,
Sure.
of the profession.
When you're with your colleagues, then you can
oh, all the
each
time.
other.
And I hear them all as well.
Yeah,
There probably isn't one that I haven't heard yet. I haven't heard one from my pastor the other day. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Even when the
nothing
pastor's
is sacred.
slipping them in there?
I know. What can we say?
Thanks. What a hit. Well, you grew up in kind of a similar situation as the ABC Unified School District, kind of a suburban setting, but you were about halfway across the country in the Denver area, right?
I was, yeah. I grew up in Denver. I grew up in one of the poor parts in Denver, in West Denver. I was a West Sider in Denver.
Sounds like a West Side Story.
I did. And kind of similar maybe to Hawaiian Gardens.
Okay.
And went to a public school in Denver. When I was in 6th grade, a big private prep school from Denver decided to invite 4 students from the poorest school in Denver to try to get a scholarship at this prep school.
I think I know where this is going.
I applied for the scholarship and ended up going to a prep school.
Awesome.
So I did my high school years at a prep school, coming from the poorest part of Denver to probably the wealthiest part of Denver.
Now, did you have maybe brothers and sisters who were older or friends who had gone on to the public school that you would have gone to while you went on to the prep school?
I was actually the oldest of 5 children in my family.
Okay.
I was the only one who went to the prep school. My brothers and sisters did end up going to the public school. And I was the only one who went to college, actually.
And that's what I was kind of wondering, is that could you see a marked difference in the quality of the education or just the opportunities that it allowed? I mean, would you look back at that experience going, it made a big difference?
Well, I think it did. I was a pretty good student, so I think that's the reason that I got the scholarship. And it was likely that I may have gone on and done something, but I think it would have been more difficult.
Sure.
And I was able to get scholarships. I got a scholarship to come out here to go to Whittier College.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. You know, how did you get, from, Colorado to a very small private college out here on the West Coast?
Well, I wanted to be a teacher. And Whittier, at that time, that was in 1975, Whittier had a great reputation for training teachers. Oh. So they did a recruitment out at my school. I liked it. They had kind of an interesting modular program where you would go to a class for a month for 7 months.
Oh, okay.
So you took 1 class for the entire month. It was very intense.
Very intense.
And I thought that was interesting. They had a good teacher training program, and I ended up getting a teaching credential. And that's where I started. I actually taught 7th grade at Carmela Intermediate in South Whittier.
Wow.
Before deciding to go on and get my master's degree in education and my doctorate in education. And at UCLA, they had a joint program where you get your doctorate and your JD at the same time.
Yeah, I was going to ask, because JD is for doctoral of jurisprudence, right?
Right.
And yeah, so you hold 2 doctoral degrees then?
Or
is it kind of a combo?
It was a combination program. It was a PhD in education. What ended up happening is I got married, started to practice law, took my doctoral exams, passed my doctoral exams, but we're still waiting on that dissertation.
Yes.
But I think you get into the practice of law, and that's really what I wanted to do. That I enjoyed working with school districts.
So that's very interesting then.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where the transition of kind of combining the law aspect into where now you practice law. You are the ABC Unified School District. You are our attorney, so to speak.
I am, yes. I mean, I've been doing that for the past 20 years. When I first came out of law school, I worked with Legal Aid for the Poor for 2 years, representing all kinds of different people, including a serial murderess.
Murderess?
Murderess.
Oh, wow.
Killing her husband and others in the course of things.
Wow.
So
that's a rough one.
That was interesting. I didn't want to do it for a living.
She did it.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's not a very good defense. You would have got fined.
No, she did it too. I had to visit her out in the Chino women's prison, and it was just like the movies. When you're walking in, except it's the women who are going, hey, woo!
Yeah.
So
maybe kind of a little ego boost.
Well, it wasn't. It was actually very uncomfortable. Not much of an ego boost at all if you saw who was whistling at you.
Yeah, I think you're right. Headlock and punching.
So I did that, but I really wanted to be a school lawyer, and eventually went downtown and worked at a big law firm downtown that represented school districts. Atkinson Andelson was a smaller law firm out in Cerritos. I wanted to get away from that big law firm feel and get into a smaller firm. So I joined Atkinson Andelson in 1986. At the time, there were about 15 lawyers. We now have about 150 lawyers. So we've grown quite a bit in the past 22 years.